Opening narration voiceover. In Pakistan, a nation of over 240 million people, tradition and religion guide much of everyday life for centuries. Communities here have lived under deeply rooted customs that define family, honor, and identity. But within this framework exists a community whose very being challenges convention. The transgender people of Pakistan. They are visible, yet invisible, present in the streets, in markets, and in homes, yet rarely recognized with dignity. For them, life is a daily struggle between survival and self-expression. One transgender woman explains it with chilling clarity, interview voice, subtitled, "If you kill a dog on one side of the street, and on the other side a transgender person is murdered, the dog will be mourned. The dog has value, but for us, we have none." Narrator, it is a society where even the worth of an animal can eclipse that of a human being, simply because of their gender identity. Yet despite rejection, abuse, and neglect, this community fights on, carrying within them both deep wounds and unshakable resilience. Early life and struggles. Narrator, for many transgender children in Pakistan, the conflict begins the moment they are born. Interview, transgender woman. When I came into this world, my parents named me Muhammad Reem Sharif, but I never felt connected to that name. I always imagined myself in the clothes of a woman. My parents, however, dressed me as a boy. Those clothes were never mine. They were a prison. This is my real self. This is who I am, and I am proud of it. Narrator, her pride, however, came at a cost. Interview, same woman, voice trembling. I will never forgive those who mistreated me. My brothers told me society would shame them if they sat beside me, but I am not a criminal. I am a human being. Narrator, this is the paradox of transgender existence in Pakistan. They are family, yet cast out of families. They are citizens, yet treated as outsiders. A life between empowerment and despair. Narrator, feelings swing between despair and empowerment. Some days, the community finds strength in its identity. On other days, rejection cuts too deep. Interview, transgender woman. Sometimes I feel depressed. Sometimes I feel empowered, that yes, I am somebody, and sometimes I feel I must fight back. Narrator, the fight, however, is not just against individuals, but against structures social, cultural, and political that refuse to see them as equals. A step towards rights. Narrator, in 2018, a landmark law gave hope to Pakistan's transgender community. The Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act granted equal rights in education, healthcare, housing, and employment. For the first time, it seemed the state was listening. Working as an expert on transgender issues at the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, one activist became a crucial link between the government and her community. Interview, Reem activist. I see myself as a bridge connecting the government to my people, helping them access rights that are legally theirs, but often denied. Narrator, among the most urgent needs is housing. For many, simply having a roof over their heads is a dream. Interview, community member. There are many needy people like me. Look at her. Look at others. We don't own houses. First, the government should provide us with accommodation, because for a transgender person, the biggest worry is a place to live. Narrator, but for now, the majority are left on their own, surviving on the streets. Narrator, most transgender people in Pakistan survive through street collections, dancing at weddings, or sex work. These are not glamorous choices. They are last resorts in a society that refuses to employ them. Elsewhere, interview, transgender woman. There are good and bad people, but most are cruel. They ask us, "Why are you doing this?" And we reply, "Because we are humans like you. If we were valued as much as you, we wouldn't need to beg." Narrator, sex work, in particular, is both a livelihood and a deadly risk. Invitations to private parties can quickly turn into traps. Interview, community voice. Sometimes men invite us to parties, and then they kill us in cold blood. I read it in the newspapers again and again. Narrator, violence shadows every step of their lives. Public harassment, groping, and physical assaults are common. Still, amidst hostility, rare voices emerge in support. Interview, sympathetic shopkeeper. She is a human being. She has the eyes, the hands, the feet, a nose, and a mouth. She speaks like us. Why do we separate her? She is like us. Narrator, such voice is our few. The stigma remains vast. Dreams deferred. Narrator, but beyond survival, transgender people, like everyone else, carry dreams. Interview, transgender performer. I wanted to be a superstar. There's an actress inside me. If I were a boy, I could have been a hero. If I were a girl, I could have been a heroine. But what am I? Nothing. That's why I became nothing. Narrator. Most are denied the opportunity to dream, crushed beneath layers of rejection. Families often disown them, casting them into the margins. Yet sometimes, they find acceptance in unexpected places. Interview. Friend of Reem. She is my first sister. I had 4 before. Now I have 5. Narrator. It is rare, but moments like these give them the strength to carry on. From victim to protector. Narrator voiceover. For those who survived long enough, the journey is often one of transformation from victimhood to strength. One activist recalls the painful road that shaped her into a leader. Interview. Activist Reem. My journey was not easy. It was a journey through depression, through being raped many times, through believing I was useless. For almost a year, I was bedridden, asking myself, why am I wrong? Why does society always target me? Why is there no place for me in religion? And then, one day, I stopped asking. I said to myself, I don't care anymore. I am like this. This is me. I accept it. Narrator. In that acceptance, she found strength not only for herself, but for others. A new chapter. Police protection. Narrator. In 2020, Pakistan introduced something unprecedented, the Transgender Protection Cell. Operated by the police, it became the first official institution dedicated to defending the rights of transgender citizens. Interview. Police official. Mostly, transgender people come to us with complaints about harassment, mental pressure, and threatening phone calls. They also report financial exploitation. Their biggest complaint is that society doesn't treat them as it treats its own brothers and sisters. Narrator. The complaints were nothing new. What was new, however, was that the state finally opened its doors to listen. In Punjab, the country's most populous province, victim support officers were assigned to transgender cases. Interview. Police victim support officer. Now they come here knowing someone will listen. We don't just file their cases, we give them time. We talk, we solve disputes. This is a safe space. Interview. Transgender community member. Since Sister Lila started working here, we feel protected. She listens, she speaks to the other party, and our problems are solved. Not once have we been ignored. Thank God, we are safe. Narrator. For the first time in Pakistan's history, protection came not only from within the community, but from the state itself. The Guru Chela system. Narrator. Yet the state's support reaches only a few. For centuries, the transgender community in South Asia has relied on its own structure of care and survival, the Guru Chela system. Narrator continued. In this system, an elder called the Guru takes responsibility for younger transgender people. Known as Chelas for those abandoned by their families, this system becomes a replacement home, a surrogate family inside small apartments across Pakistan. These families create their own worlds, their own bonds, and their own rules. Seen a guru distributing money for food. Here, take this money for cooking. I'm starving. Go quickly. Is the bread ready, or should I make it myself? Narrator. The interactions are ordinary, even mundane. But for those who have lost everything, these small acts of care mean survival. Interview. Guru. I am transgender not from today, but since I was 10 years old, and I will remain so until I die. None of us will change, because this is who we are. We are happy in our own world. We have brothers and sisters, fathers and sons, gurus and chelas. We live in harmony. Narrator. For many, this harmony provides what society has denied: belonging, visibility, and resistance. Narrator. In Karachi, Pakistan's largest city, a vibrant event is underway, the Women of the World Festival. Here, activists and representatives of the transgender community come together to speak openly about their struggles and their hopes. Narrator continued. On stage, voices are raised not just for survival, but for recognition. Yet outside the festival halls, darker forces gather. Conservative political parties have launched campaigns to roll back the 2018 Transgender Rights Act. They claim it contradicts Islam. Interview. Reem activist. These politicians argue that only intersex people count as transgender. They call the rest of us sinners. They are badly misinformed. This law is not about sin, it is about human rights. Basic human rights. Narrator. The debate is more than academic. If these laws are repealed, protections vanish, lives become more vulnerable. The burden of Narrator. Even with the law still in place, true equality remains elusive. Official documents force transgender people to mark their gender as X. Interview. Transgender woman, what is this X giving us? No privilege, no recognition. We cannot get married, and marriage love. Family, that is something close to my heart. I am alone, only because of my reality. Narrator, in a culture that places immense importance on family, the denial of marriage is not just a bureaucratic inconvenience, it is a profound isolation. Strength in defiance. Narrator, but despite rejection, isolation, and political backlash, the community refuses to disappear. Interview, activist at panel, these men, these politicians, may never accept us. They are cowards, but we will not let ourselves be erased. We will make our visibility strong. We will force our acceptance. We are not going anywhere. Narrator, it is defiance born not from anger alone, but from survival. Each day lived authentically is itself an act of resistance. The ask, simple humanity. Narrator, at the core of their struggle lies a request so simple, so basic, that it underlines the cruelty of its denial. Interview, transgender woman, we expect only one thing, respect. Respect us as women. Transgender is just an adjective, like saying a woman is beautiful or intelligent. A woman can also be transgender. For me, I am a woman, a transgender woman, nothing less. Narrator, in the end, their demand is not for special treatment. It is for recognition of their humanity. Closing narration. Narrator voiceover. Reflective. Pakistan's transgender community stands at a crossroads. They have won laws, but lost safety. They have families, but often only the ones they build themselves. They face rejection, but continue to demand respect. Their struggle is far from over. Yet in their courage and resilience, they are writing a new chapter of Pakistan's story. A chapter where dignity is not a privilege, but a right. Because in the end, they are not asking for more than anyone else. They are asking to be seen. They are asking to be heard. They are asking to be human. Narrator voiceover. To understand the present struggles of transgender people in Pakistan, we must look back. Their story is not new, nor is it confined to this country alone. For centuries across South Asia, communities now called Hydras held a recognized, if marginalized, place in society. In the courts of the mule emperors, they were protectors of harems, advisors, and sometimes even political confidants. They were respected, feared, and in certain circles, revered. But with the arrival of colonial rule, everything changed. The British, unable to reconcile Hydra traditions with their own rigid morality, criminalized them in the 19th century under the so-called Criminal Tribes Act. The stigma born during that time seeped deep into cultural memory. Narrator, today, echoes of both histories remain the faint memory of a respected past and the enduring weight of colonial era shame. Between religion and reality. Narrator, Pakistan is a nation built on faith. Religion permeates nearly every aspect of life, from family traditions to state laws. But where does the transgender community fit within this religious framework? Interview, religious scholar progressive voice. Our faith teaches us that all human beings are creations of God. To harm them, to humiliate them, is to insult the Creator Himself. Transgender people are not an invention. They exist, and they deserve dignity. Narrator, yes, such voices are rare. More often, transgender people are told they are living against religion, condemned not for their actions, but for their very existence. Interview, activist Reem. For years, I asked myself if there was a place for me in religion. People said there wasn't. And then one day, I realized it doesn't matter. I don't need their permission to exist. Narrator, caught between belief and rejection, many transgender people create their own spiritual practices, private prayers, small acts of faith that remind them they belong to God. The economics of survival. Narrator, economics plays a cruel role in this struggle. With families abandoning them and employers shutting doors, survival pushes many transgender women into begging or sex work. Interview, street performer, people don't give us jobs. They laugh at us. What choice do we have? We dance at weddings, or we beg, or we sell our bodies. If we were valued as humans, we would not need to beg. Narrator, dancing at weddings once held cultural significance for the Hydra community, blessings of fertility, joy, and celebration. But over time, this role diminished, leaving behind mostly mockery. Sex work, while taboo, remains for many the only reliable income. It is fraught with danger, police raids, exploitation, and at times death. Interview, transgender woman. We are invited to parties with promises of money, and then some of us never return. We read about it in the newspapers again and again. Everyday violence. Narrator, Violence is not only in the shadows of parties, it lives in the streets, in markets, in public buses. Interview, transgender woman. When we walk in crowds, people grope us, they harass us. Some say dirty words, some throw stones. And yet, we keep walking. Because what choice do we have? Narrator, even those who show sympathy often frame their acceptance as an exception. Interview, sympathetic citizen. She is a human being. She breathes, she speaks, she has hands and eyes. Why should we separate her? She is like us. Narrator, the fact that such statements must even be voiced is itself an indictment of society. Families of choice. Narrator, for those abandoned by blood relatives. Chosen families become the only refuge. The guru cellist system creates a hierarchy, but also a safety net. Scene, inside a two-room apartment. A guru cooks while four young cellists laugh in the background. The smell of bread fills the air. Guru voiceover. I have been transgender since I was 10. I will remain so until I die. We live in our own world, with our own families. Here, we are not alone. Narrator. In this world, roles are clear. Gurus protect, cellists respect. It is not perfect, but it is survival. A glimpse of acceptance. Narrator. And yet, acceptance does exist quietly in corners of society. One friend who sheltered a transgender woman recalls. Interview, friend. She is my sister. I had 4 before her. Now I have 5. Nothing is different. Narrator, in such rare bonds, the idea of family expands beyond blood, reminding us that love can survive even the deepest prejudices. The political battlefield. Narrator, but acceptance is fragile. The 2018 Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act, hailed as a landmark, is under threat. Conservative parties argue it contradicts Islam. Interview, activist Reem. They say only intersex people count as transgender. They call us sinners. They want to erase us from the law. But they are wrong. This legislation is not about sin. It is about basic human rights. Narrator, the repeal of this law would not only erase protections, it would erase recognition itself. The weight of loneliness. Narrator, even with laws, loneliness lingers. Official documents still force transgender people to mark their gender as X, excluding them from marriage, inheritance, and many legal rights. Interview, transgender woman. What does this X give us? Nothing. We cannot marry. We cannot build families. I am alone, not because I want to be, but because society has made me so. Narrator, in a culture where family defines identity, such exclusion cuts deeper than any law. Resilience and defiance. Narrator, and yet, the community refuses silence. At festivals, in police stations, in the streets they speak. Interview, activist. These men will never accept us. But we will not disappear. We will make our visibility strong. We will demand our place. We are not going anywhere. Narrator, it is defiance, but also hope. Hope that one day, they will no longer need to fight for what others are freely given. Closing narration. Narrator voiceover, cinematic. In Pakistan, the transgender community lives between rejection and resilience, invisibility and defiance. They have been dancers in palaces, outcasts in streets, victims of violence, and warriors of survival. They carry within them the weight of history, the glory of a respected past, the pain of colonial stigma, and the scars of present-day exclusion. But they also carry hope. Hope that laws will protect, not erase. Hope that society will embrace, not abandon. Hope that one day, being transgender will not mean being less, because in the end, their struggle is not about special treatment. It is about dignity. It is about humanity. It is about the right to sin.